SANDY LEO LAFRAMBOISE, which means butterfly woman. It is given to me by Taha Amy George of the House of Chief Dan George of the George family of the traditional territory of the Tsleil-Waututh. I have been granted permission to lead ceremonies. I've got access to traditional lands on their territory to lead two-spirited sweats, non-gender, non-binary sweats for people to come and our friends. And that is the gift that our people give to the world, is that ability to weave in and out. Sure, there is binary systems and binary roles, but there is also non-binary roles in spirit. And it is recognized through our art, through our culture, through our ceremonies. While in this world, we live in binaries and non-binaries, we, the non-binary, two-spirited people, come to teach that we have forgotten a part of who we are. And we're bringing that awareness in a good way, in a spiritual way, and a ceremonial way. It may work for you and it may not work for you. But I hope after you've watched a little video that was created for school by a student, where I go and teach on gender diversity, and that the elder of the Musqueam, Shane Point, who's my adopted uncle, which I am part of their Two-Spirit collectiveness as a member of the Two-Spirit collectiveness of the Two-Spirit indigenous people of the West Coast, where we speak why we've forgotten that part. There are many, many, many stories in our indigenous ways around different nations. And when I say West Coast and I say Odawa people, which is my people, those are different countries. But most people around the world see Canada as Canada. But our territories was our country. We had traditional ways of marking our territories. We had traditional ways of talking with each other and making protocols so that we can step on other people's country and use the land and work on the land. But this system, this colonial system, imposes one big country called Canada. Our people don't recognize that, although we function within it. We've been suing the Crown ever since Canada began. We've been going to courts, especially in the last 50 years, and we have won, and we continue to win, because our sovereignty is being recognized by the laws of the new Westminster Parliament system that exists on our country. So with that in mind, I say thank you for hearing these kind words. I'll turn it over to Anerda and welcome each and every one of you. Aho.
Welcome everyone. My name is Anairda and I'm the project coordinator of Feminist Fusion and your host tonight. And so thank you very much, Sandy Leo, for the extraordinary introduction. So for you, all of you who are new to this, Feminist Fusion is a community and social arts project in support of women's art and for a public dialogue on feminism and social justice. And Memoria 2020 is our sub-project, partially funded by Mayflower 400. Memoria means the Latin root of the word memory, and here we aim to recover our memory as a collective by exploring the complete story of the Mayflower ship's arrival to America and its legacy and social impact in today's world. So welcome everybody. A little bit of details about how the session is gonna run. Due to the global pandemic, obviously this Feminist Fusion and our next sessions in December will be online. For the next year sessions, we'll have to refer to the restrictions at that point. Let me change this. Our in-person sessions include participatory crafts and educative material. So in an attempt to accommodate ourselves to the online format, this will be shorter than our in-person sessions. So we hope to be together tonight for 1.5 hours, more or less. This event is going to be recorded and uploaded later on Feminist Fusion YouTube channel. If you have any issues with your face being public, please let me know and I'll do my best to fix that. This is going to be a participatory creative event, so all your microphones, as you can see, have been muted on arrival. Please keep them that way while we watch the video and hear Sandy Leo. We will start with our, obviously with Sandy Leo's presentation. If there are specific questions for Sandy Leo, we will hold a very short question and answers afterwards. You can also write questions in the chat box feature below. After that, we will divide all of us, all of you, into breakout rooms for group conversations, get together again to share our reflections, and then finish with the performance of our guest artist, Ray Wetherill. So please don't forget to have a piece of paper and a pen for the conversations. Well, Sandy has spoken, and now are you happy for me to share the video, Sandy?
You go ahead.
Today we have to confront a very real problem. It is impossible to define precisely what Two-Spirit experiences was. Although most people agree that such individual existed, the particular of that identity remains for the most part a ghost.
So, Indian residential schools, 125 years of sexual violence by male adults on children. So, homosexuality, violent sexuality, 125 years. So as we come into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where people of both genders coming out as homosexual becomes a difficult issue in our community for a while because of the violence attached to it.
As much as we've been colonized, we've colonized our own people as well. Right? Through generation, we repeat the history. So, and not to acknowledge two-spirited people is a form of colonization.
So when I'm growing up, nobody wants to be known as a homosexual. It's one of those really horrible stereotypes that people put on you.
In my work as a psychiatric nurse on the Tony side, I remember one person, and this is an awful story, so I have to premise that. Beautiful person, tall, beautiful, dark skin, very gentle, but homeless. She'd come in to drop in and to take care of her basic daily needs and to eat some food and all that. And she was always talking about how home was always welcoming and she wanted to go back home. So I helped her, and I got her some bus fare to go back to her home, and once in a while we get an email back saying she's doing okay. She eventually passed away from HIV, and what we found out at that time is that her nation didn't accept her. So what they did is they rented an apartment for her off the reserve. So she died alone. A lot of two-spirit people end up alone a lot of times.
So, over the last 20 years, we've been coming to grips with it like everyone else. What's happened in our community is we have found a really wonderful and pleasant way to not only describe, but to educate ourselves about it.
The modern two-spirited people think it's only based on sexual orientation, Some of the traditionalists are opening themselves up and saying, yes, it existed, but it's based on gender identity and roles. And so both are clashing, and we have to try to merge them together. So while on paper this looks nice, let me tell you something. 18 years ago on Sewickley Nation, an elder came and took my drum away because I was two-spirited, and so I would normally send you away, but I can't because his family accepted you here.
And I think that the word two-spirited allows us to open up our minds. Wachuks in our language. Wachuks means to open. Wachuks in Squallowan means to open our hearts and our minds. So we're opening up, and our understanding now is different from people in my age group and previous generations. So we are very understanding, and now, haven't been in the past, but now more supportive, because we understand we're shedding that fear.
That Indigenous Spirit Society started as a group in 1993. In 1993, I had just graduated as a psychiatric nurse out of Douglas College, and I had a hard time finding jobs. So I created a not-for-profit organization called the High-Risk Project Society, which received money. And out of that, we were servicing transvestite, transsexuals that were both native and non-native, that were sex trade worker and IV drug users. And we had received a huge grant over 5 years to deal with the issues and to try to help and service the community. So out of that came the vision to actually really centered on Aboriginal people and help the Aboriginal community, in part because I am also Aboriginal. And so the group was formed then called Dancing to Eagle Spirit, which is part of my name, my traditional name, right? And so we met, we had elders come in, did a lot of traditional teachings over a 5-year period. Then the society lost its funding and it split between Dancing to Eagle Spirit Society and the High-Risk Project. So the High-Risk Project reinvented itself, and I helped them get more funding from the ministry. And Dancing to Eagle Spirit Society decided it wasn't not going to go after funding, but was going to focus solely on spirituality, cultural norms and healing that between non-natives and natives. As a result, in 1998, Dancing to Eagle Spirit became a registered not-for-profit organization, and in 2006 it applied for charitable status, and in 2010 it applied at the federal level to be recognized as a religious organization, not elsewhere classified. So it's a religious organization under the norms of the Religious Act of Canada. So that has been my vision. That's how I move the leadership and the people towards that. Now it's very strong, it's well recognized, it's well established.
The younger generation like yourselves are way more open and learning that it's not harmful to anybody, that what happened in Indian residential schools in the sexual violence, that's a different, very different. So in our community, we're finding a way, we have found a way to understand it and shed our fears and our ignorance about it. So, but we're working really hard at it.
1971, I was 11 years old. I marched on Parliament Hill in Canada as a boy with my placard saying, "We demand our rights." The law had just been changed 2 years prior to that, where they decriminalized homosexuality. 1974, I marched on Parliament Hill with my little placards because they're arresting gay, lesbian, bisexual people. 2010, I was invited to the Whistler Village to do a welcoming on the traditional territory for Pride House Whistler Olympics. First time in the Olympic organization. 40 years before I was being arrested and chased. 40 years later they asked me to come and bless. They welcomed me. In my lifetime I have seen the changes. With 1 voice, 2 voice, you had 3 voice, you had 4 voice, you had 5 voice. Your voice matters. What you hear today and how you're going to change your attitudes tomorrow, and in a year what you're going to do with it is what's going to do the changes.
you so much. It's very beautiful. So we also have people entering, but I think we have enough. Probably, I mean, if somebody wants to enter at this point, it will be really difficult. Yeah. So nobody has any further questions with Sandy? Sandy Leo?
I do have a paper called The Way of Two-Spirited People, and that I can share with Anerda, and Anerda can share it with all of you as well.
Yeah.
And that speaks a lot more and more details with more photos of our two-spirited people, and it even talks about ceremonies that we did in order to truly support and invoke the spirit part of being two-spirited. So, and of course, in writing, things are explained in more detail than they could be in a film.
Perfect.
So that's also important to share.
Thank you, Sandy. So let's go to the breakout rooms. We have 22 people at the moment, and so my mathematics are really slow. So I'm gonna try to divide you in a more or less similar amount of people. But what you need to do in the breakout room is to have a conversation, and there's one person who will have to take the lead. You all can take notes, but one person will have to take the lead in writing 2 verses, so 2 lines, or 6-8 words only about the conclusions of the whole group. And the other thing is to make a little image, like it can be something very simple, a little bird, and a spiral, a moon, something that also summarize the feelings of the group that you are with. I know it sounds very complicated, but actually this has worked before. And if you talk to each other, you will find one symbol, very simple symbol, that reflects the feelings of the group.
The edge effect, we grow the most. Two-spirit and beyond. When we meet, observe, listen, to unlearn and learn, weaving together synergistically.
Thank you, Helen. Is there any other reflections that you would like to share briefly?
Tara wants to share.
Yeah, Tara?
No, sorry, that was a clapping emoji.
Okay. Okay.
Well, Tara's got shown something, so she was in our group.
Okay, this is the other group. So this is Helen's group. Can I just say that's Helen's group? Yeah, that's all you want to share, Helen? No? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the next group will be Sandy's group. Somebody wants to share from Sandy's group?
Go ahead, Tara.
Tara?
Well, I think we should do this as the group. I think Gabby had a beautiful way of describing what this onion was, and the onion image itself actually came from some real gems of wisdom and food for thought from Sandra. So I can hold up the image if one of my teammates wants to describe how we came up with that.
Tara, Wonder, anyone?
I can talk about the onion. Yeah, Sandy Leo was talking to us quite a lot how on your journey of sort of self-discovery is you sort of go through speaking your own truth. You're like an onion and you peel back one layer and then you've got a layer underneath that's something different, and you learn about that part of yourself and you discover it, and then you keep peeling back the layers of the onion as you live throughout your life.
Nice. Thank you.
Tara, go ahead.
And I had the so one thing that from what Sandy was saying that I thought was really interesting was about recognizing the truth of who we really are and accepting the past as a way to heal. Or at least I added that part, but yeah, that was great.
Thank you. Is there any words that the group, or the onion group, would like to share? Any words or verses?
Tara, do you have a word or a verse?
We had some pretty big words that we definitely were peeling the meanings of these words and their complications. And one of the big words was intersectionality. And another big word was privilege.
Thank
And
you.
to add to that is that intersectionality and privilege is something that's a thesis on paper. It's a theory that's evolving to social justice. However, the one norm that we are forgetting is that all of the words that is put into social justice and intersectionality, those are lived experience of different cultural norms. So the poverty of someone who's Black and the poverty of someone who's Indigenous is a different lived experience, and we're forgetting that. While the word is a rallying cry to bring us together. I was using it, I mean, no offense to anybody, the Black people were abducted from their lands and brought to other lands. But some of us, our land's been stolen from us while we remain on our lands. So the intersectionality of oppression has different lived experiences that we ought to recognize.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next group, please. Anybody who would like to share the image and the words? Yeah, Claire, go ahead.
Oh.
Is that the image? Yeah. Can you let me
the
just?
The yin and the yang.
Right. Any words? Any words from your group, Claire? You need to unmute yourself.
I don't know how that happened. We kind of thought we came up with 2 words each, and it evolved into like a sentence. I guess. We are in balance, accepting of each other in peace. Yeah, I think we were all kind of on the same page about yeah, accepting people for who they are. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything from the group.
Anybody from Claire's group would like to add something? Quickly, no? PK Flaming, did you raise your hand? No? Okay, so the next group then, please. Yeah, Olivia, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi. So Marie-Louise came up with the phrase shift in perception creates quick change. And then after that, we also discussed about directions of change and how it's not always just forwards, it can be back and it can be sideways, and some things can be going forwards while other things are going back. And I think that really came across in Sandy Leo's video. And then we have this image, which is 2 arrows opposing each other, which it's got like the dynamism of change and the kind of confrontational nature of it, and the different ways that change can occur in both directions.
Nice, thank you. Anybody else from Olivia's group would like to share something? No? Okay, so the next group
got his hand up.
Oh, okay, Or, unmute yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all had our own reflections, but I was quite interested that I'm looking at, we each wrote our own, but I'm looking at mine and it's almost the same as but with just different with synonyms. Where I wrote disconnects in experience always catalyze reflection, which is basically the exact same shifts in perception, etc. It's just interesting how we all approach that with different perspectives, etc. And how there's always that return to the same concepts, etc. that we were looking at, which I guess goes back to like our symbol, which I don't think we discussed too much, but it just came up and then we all more or less agreed on it.
Thank you. That's great. Great feedback. Thank you. Or the next group, please. Anybody from the next group? There's one group left, I think. Yeah, Lori.
Hi. was with a lovely group, some of who I knew, and then had the joy of meeting Louise. So we were talking about quite a lot of things, and for some people it was quite new ideas, but quite nice ideas. And people were saying a few things, and I wrote down things, thinking just kind of a little bit like notes for me. And I realised that these were people's exact words, that when I fed them back, they felt a bit like a poem. And the picture is, we were talking about, Louise said that she felt there was something like a flower image that was coming to her mind when we were talking about these things. So, so the words were circle, spiral, turning, yin and yang, spinning, not static, but the spinning nature of the yin and yang. So circle, spiral, turning, yin, yang, spinning like a flower. And then this is like, the words were other people's, and it was my picture of the flower, that the flower can have all these different bits in it, and it's still a flower. So each of the petals could be different. So we were, it was nice when Claire shared a yin and yang symbol as well. Anybody else got something they want to say?
Anybody else from Laurie's group? Yeah, Chell? Did you raise your hand? No?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
I did, but I'm not from her group, so I'll wait till the end because her group might want to speak.
Okay, so somebody else from Laurie's group.
Linda's waving her hand.
Is somebody else from, yeah?
Linda.
Yeah. Linda.
That's why I muted earlier. We had something, I think it was John who said that the only ways that we have are the ones that we are given. And it's not a matter of multiple choice. It's not something that's fixed. And I thought that went really well with the flower because there's so many kinds of flowers. We were talking about different kinds of flowers and also different kinds of petals and colors and so on. So it was, yeah, it was a very good image for us.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So that's from Laurie's group, yeah? Anybody else from Laurie's group? We do have time for more comments, no? Okay, so the next group, please. I think it's the last group. I think probably, yeah. The last group, I think, is Chell's group. Is that right? No?
We've already, Helen spoke, but I did want to add something to that. That was really, I thought, really lovely. It was actually Helen's sort of thought, reflection, but we were talking about acceptance and what the edges of acceptance might be like. And Helen talked about the, she'll probably explain it better, but the edge effect in permaculture principle, and where, you know, I'm imagining wild plants, but maybe not wild plants, you know, come together from different cultures, I think Helen said. And she used the example of the Three Sisters planting. And I just thought that was really beautiful. It links in a little bit with the wildflowers or the flowers, and this idea that we don't know what's going to happen because there's so many different species and there's so much wildness. And that's what the poem that we kind of came up with reflected, that idea of letting it happen and watching it and seeing, you know, I imagine this like lovely riot, you know, but I don't know whether it would be a lovely riot, but I imagine it would be, you know, I don't know. It just, I really, really like that idea. I'm going to have a think on that.
Good.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
I just want to reflect something here. We've all had, in different ways, the same vision to the center, which is the spirit. We've talked about flowers and acceptance. We've talked about permaculture and the differences in acceptance. We've talked about the yin and the yang and the acceptance. We talk about the onion and peeling till acceptance, acknowledging the truth. And when I've been hearing that, I was reminded of my elder who's now gone with the ancestors watching over us. And that's a quote that stayed with me that he spoke in 1993. He says, I took a walk into my forest and I looked around and I started listening to my trees. And he says, I looked at this majestic cedar, red cedar, western red cedar, and it talked to me as it moved in the wind. And he says, look at the little pitiful bush. In your eyes, you see this little bush as being pitiful. But in my spirit, that bush belongs to us because it takes all kinds to make the forest that you walk in. And those teachings have stayed with me forever and ever and ever. Everyone belongs, and that's what we talked about through this.
Beautiful. There is one question for you in the chat, Sandy.
Okay.
So after this, we have some time for a few more questions to Sandy, and then we close, and Sandy has a little gift for us as well. So Sandy, the question comes from Claire. It says, how has the Two-Spirit movement impacted attitudes generally in Canada?
Oh my, in Canada. So first of all, North America for us is seen as Turtle Island, not as Canada and United States of America and Mexico. And 4 years ago, in November, when I was in Australia presenting at the Louisa Health Institute, we talked about that. And so we gathered Americans and Canadians, and we went on stage and presented as one Turtle Islanders. Because if you look at our map, it looks like a turtle with its tail and its little paws at the end and everything. Because of that, and because of the creation of the countries, there are different ways of being and attitudes of thinking and experiencing things. The Two-Spirited people, as Indigenous people, we recognize each other within the Two-Spirit community. It's been a long walk home. It's been a long journey. In 1991-92 in Canada, in Manitoba, there was a vision at a conference. We stopped the conference, we started talking about Two-Spirited, and we used the English moniker of Two-Spirited. In the United States of America, out of New York, came a group of Indigenous people and started the word Two-Spirit. So there was a little bit of a movement between the Americans and the Canadians, almost simultaneously, but separate. So we had to go and decolonize and educate even our own people. And that took years and years and years. And so we faced a lot of adversity, a lot of isms, and some of my people got beaten, some of them got murdered, but we continued. We had to do it for our ancestors. We had to do it for the people whose shoulders we stood on. We had to move forward no matter what. And part of that is we had to believe in ourselves, in spirit, and in creator. That if we are doing the right work, if we're doing the right thing, and it's all in spirit and it's in ceremony, then things will happen. And it did. It did. When Obama was elected in the state, there's a task force that was created and included an indigenous person who's a friend of mine who's now doing his PhD on Two-Spirited. And in Canada, we started changing and having things change. And at the National Assembly of First Nations Chief, we added 2 feathers that were beaded with the LGBTQ colors of the Two-Spirited, and then different reserves across our country started doing Two-Spirited powwow. And on the West Coast, about 4 years ago, we started having welcoming home ceremonies where our Two-Spirited people were blanketed in front of the nation, were lifted up, their names were given, and their honoring began. And we started involving back our Two-Spirited in our traditional ceremonies like orphan nannies or opening ceremonies and different things like that. However, it doesn't mean that the whole ism and issue of phobias are not gone. There are some of my peeps are being beaten up by their own cousins, which is why I talk again about intersectionality and oppression. On paper looks good, but in lived experience, it's so freaking different. Yeah. I have no fear. I mean, you want to kill me, go ahead. I'm going to be hunting you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I am who I am and I come. I mean, I don't wish it to happen, right? But I have no fear with that. I don't fear the crown. I don't fear my oppressors. I don't fear my own family. I stand in my truth of being two-spirited transgendered person. And if you think I don't belong in your group, that's your journey, not mine. My journey is to be who I am. For that I came in Creator's name. And so it is very difficult because, again, we're talking, we're theorizing, we're discussing, and we're going to walk out a way and we're going to have this ideology. But when you go into remote communities still, and where the badlands of South Dakota are, where you can disappear and nobody could find you for the rest of your life, or different things like that, the reality is, you know, in the Congo, people get executed for being two-spirited, openly gay, lesbian, right? In Russia, we see what happens. So our work is never finished, never, ever finished. Mm-hmm. We must stand up to the oppressors. We must stand up to the darkness. We must speak our truth no matter what the cost. I have lost job. I've lost part of my teeth. I wear a plate. I've been jailed. I've been in prison, and now I'm teaching to the police. I'm teaching to the universities and to doctors, and I'm published. 20 years ago, that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So one voice that believes in it all, no matter what the cost, will effect the changes in the world that we need. One voice. So each and every one of you have had your eyes open today in this way, and each and every one of you have the responsibility to stand up for that truth.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sandy, Leo. There is another question for you, probably the last one. It says, Sandy, I was reflecting that two-spirit could be interpreted as a binary stance in relation to gender. I would be interested to know if there is beyond gender binary work going on in your movement.
Yes, it's part of the two-spiritedness. That's why we gathered around that name. Two-spirit recognizes all spirits. The Navajo have philosophies of several different genders. The Mohave have a philosophy of several different genders. So there are ceremonies that are based around that. And if it is, and the reason why they create ceremonies is that this is recognized as a gift from Creator. And therefore, if this is a gift of Creator, you must have specialty, a specialness of some sort that you come to bring us, teachings that you come to bring us. So it's coming back. It's coming back. It took 20 years of me being on the Saywood too before they started talking to me about our roles there. 20 years. In the last 10 years, there's so many of our people and the two-spirit people on Saywood too that have come out, that they had married with children and everything, because that's what you do when you're Indigenous, you procreate, blah, 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 blah. And now these men and women come out, they're two-spirit, some of them come out, they're transgender. So the word two-spirit is all gender encompassing. So when I say I'm two-spirit, I don't need to say I'm transgendered. I don't need to say I'm homosexual. I don't need to say I'm a lesbian. I am two-spirit. I have all of it. That means I have 4 spirits that works with me.
There is the last question, Sandy, Leo.
Okay.
Could you talk a little bit about ceremonial work with two-spirit, what that looks like, how that changes ceremony? In the spiritual tradition I'm part of, there are often myths, rituals, elements that are quite binary, heteronormative, with some people trying to work to open these, those open. So this come from John.
John, my friend. Yes, so that is a difficult one because we're going back to a binary system, and how do we work and thread in between that? An example of that, for those of you who've done a sweat lodge with me, you've realized there's no male and there's no female sides. In traditional, and you see me using the quote words, so conservative, heterosexual, normal ways, that's been passed down for centuries through patriarchy and oppression. There's a female side and there's a male side. And female have to dress in certain garbs, and male have the authority to do all kinds of things. For example, females are not allowed in sweat lodge ceremonies without wearing long skirts, long sleeves, and if they're on what we call moon time, which is your cycle of the month, you're not allowed to go in because you're too powerful that you can steal the energy of the ceremony and hurt other people. You know how that sounds ridiculous, right? For all of us women who have periods? Exactly. Same thing, male can step here and do this and do that, but women can't do it. So I started seeing the oppression of that. And that was about 30 some years ago. And I started talking about it and going, why are men giving women's teachings? Where's the woman giving teachings? And then the woman started saying blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, where did you get that teaching, right? And of course, I was sent away and I was asked not to come back to that ceremony and people were talking about me. It was hard. It wasn't easy. It was hard like hell. But eventually, teaching started coming back through visions and people started remembering what a moon lodge was. Gotcha. So, and then other people started coming out, seeing what I was doing and saying, well, where do we belong? We're not male, we're not female, where do we belong? So some conservative, heteronormative folks that were steeped in their ways made space. And the space was to be in between the male and in between the females. So females would go in the lodge and I would go in and then the males would go in. And I went, but that's still a separation. That's shite for me. Right? And so I started talking as we started doing the research and bringing things forward and imagery and sculptures and petroglyphs and things like that and photographs in the 1800s, the late 1800s, we started showing those and talking about those and people went, oh. I says, you talk about praying for old people, but you don't pray for me. You don't pray for my people. You have issues and you have to deal with your issues. You've been raped. You've been beaten up. Some of our siblings got murdered. You need to talk about that. You need to walk through that pain. If you're going to pray for me, I need you to know that I am a human being. So that started changing. So now what we're seeing in sweat lodges is a lot of sweat lodges don't have a male side and a female side. But there's still people that adhere to that. In terms of the sun dance now, there's starting to be a section in the middle where female identified could wear the male garbs if they want, and male identified who want to wear the female garb can. It's being supported. So there is a slow change to that in more religious zealotry, if you want, because we have to use those words when it comes to religion. There's a lot of zealotry in religion. There's a lot of, oh, what's the word that I want to use? That people are, this is the way, this is the Christian way. Well, those ways have weaved itself into our ceremonies and we have to decolonize that. And so the more visibility, no matter what the cause, the better it becomes. So in the Survivor Society, the Indigenous Survivor Society, now there's open Two-Spirited people. I've been invited to be on the National Murdered Missing Indigenous Women for the, as an elder for Two-Spirited people. So I'll be on that council. I'll be doing my first circle next month. So it's pretty cool. The work doesn't stop, but I want somebody else to take it over. I don't want to be doing it. I don't mind knocking down the doors and unlocking the doors with the keys that people are going to give me, but others have to come. And as I'm doing this for the first time at a national level, at the board of directors for the Canadian Visual AIDS Network Society, there's now a specific dedicated seat for transgender non-binary people. So if you say I'm transgender non-binary, you can run for a board position without being discriminated because that seat's for us. And that's what we have to do. We need to normalize ourselves. Perfect. If that makes sense to people, which is really where we need to get to a place we don't even have to talk about this. Oh, it just said, okay, girlfriend, let's go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So before we do the closure with Sandy, just to remind you that we have the Ray Wetherill video. So please have a look and have a look at Ray Wetherill website because she really created these for tonight. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been It's beautiful to see your beautiful faces again, and leave you with Sandy to close. Sandy Leo.
I'm going to sing a bear song that I sing in my ceremonies, asking the brown bear, mother bear, to come and take care of us, to hear your words, to take them up to Creator in a good way. Weha ya ho, weha ya ho, ya ya hey. Weha ya ho, weha ya ho, ya ya hey. Ya hey. Yahweh, 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 Manitou Mesqua, Capitol Jose, Manitou Mesqua, Bezwe Mishina, Weha Yaho, Weha. Oh Yahweh, 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 Manitou Mesqua, Capitol Jose, Manitou Mesqua, Mezwe and Mishina. Oh, I normally sing that 4 rounds in the sweat, but outside the sweat I sing it twice. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy Leo. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Hello, all you fine people, and welcome to this extra special online edition of Feminist Fusion. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. My name is Ray. You may have seen me perform at previous events. It's a great pleasure to present to you this multimedia extravaganza, which I've been working on, especially for Feminist Fusion. Really gave me the motivation that I needed to actually take some of this new music that I've been producing and put together a music video, especially for this evening's event. Because this music I've produced myself, I've played all the instruments, I've played the electric guitar, the bass guitar, the acoustic guitar, percussion, vocals, and I've recorded it over the periods of months and months, and I've mixed it myself. A complete solo effort in order to create a kind of larger band feeling, which is kind of where I feel my music is taking me these days, which is why I couldn't provide you with a live singer-songwriter acoustic guitar kind of performance, because it would have been impossible. So I've put together this music video. I had a lot of fun making it. It was really amazing when I found out that this particular Feminist Fusion, the theme was all about two spirit and two-spirited people and what that word means to people. This particular song, which I've written called Reintroduce, is really kind of wrapped up with that whole topic. That time in my life when I wrote it, when everything in myself was in question, my sexuality, my gender identity. I didn't feel fully female, I didn't feel male either. And the terms gay, straight, lesbian, man, woman, none of those labels seemed to fit at all. And the frustration and the confusion which came from this period of self-discovery, of intimacy in ways that I never could have imagined, and what a confusing time this was, and how I hope that one day we can live in a world where these labels, there are more degrees between the labels, there are all the shades, and that's really what this song is about, and that, you know, we are constantly reintroducing ourselves to the wider world, and this journey of reintroduction continues. So I hope you enjoy the song, I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you're all staying healthy and safe and have a lovely evening. So thank you very much. Oh, also, if you really like my current sound, you can find the whole album, Fork in the Road, which I've been working on for years, and it's finally finished, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, where you can also find my DJ mixes. Find the link in the information, and yeah, check out the album. All the best. to read.